Hello everyone, I'm just going to start sharing my screen. So today I will be taking you all through some Office Connect features. So this will hopefully help you with reporting and analysis. Some of these features have actually been just released in the latest version of Office Connect. So please do make sure you're up to date with the latest version in case you try any of these things at home yourself and they're not working for some reason. So I'll be running you through grouping and ungrouping of accounts and other elements as well, expanding and collapsing elements, filtering on a worksheet or workbook, and also just the difference between workbook properties and user settings as well. Before I begin, I might just do a quick recap on Office Connect. I know most of you did say that you're familiar with it. However, I'll just run you through it really quickly. So we've got a ribbon at the top of Excel here, Office Connect. That's where you log in, log out, and all of the features along the top here. Along the side, we've got a task pane that has all of the elements that might belong to your model. So any accounts, any specific custom dimensions, for example, attributes, currencies, if you've got multi-currencies, that sort of thing, or your versions as well, they'll all sit here. And this is generally just your workbook area where any numbers will show in your report. Okay, so grouping. So grouping elements allows your report to dynamically reflect any changes made to the model. So we'll just use accounts as an example. I just navigate down to revenue 4,000. So for example, by using grouping, if you've made any model changes, so a new account has been added or it's been reordered, deleted, that will be reflected through grouping automatically. I'll just take you through a demonstration of that. So off screen, I'm just going to quickly add an account in. Just bear with me one moment. Okay, so that's just been saved. And now I'll just show you, if I press the refresh button, nothing will actually happen. But if I press update elements here, there you can see I've created an account called 4,400 demo account. So that was just to show you that if you press the refresh, even though there are model changes that might be in the adaptive web instance, they might not get reflected through into your Excel Office Connect reports. So you just have to press update elements and then the refresh button here. Previously, I believe it was update elements, then you would have to go to the group section, update your group, and then press refresh the report. But now, due to workbook properties and due to an update in the latest version of Office Connect, you can actually include update groups in refresh. So it's now just 2 steps instead. But yeah, just remember, you always have to update the elements first and then press the refresh button. So moving on to actually creating some groups, I'll just highlight a row here, row 9, and show you how I would add all of these accounts under revenue into this report. So I've just right clicked and I'll say apply immediate children as a group. There is another way to do it as well. So say, for example, you don't want intercompany revenue in your report, you just want a select group. I'm just going to use the control button here, so control click and just control click on these 4 accounts and then apply selection as a group. And now if I refresh the report, you'll see data appears. So this one is exactly the same as the one above. This one doesn't have the intercompany revenue. How you might manage these groups is using this ribbon here. So if I click on manage, you'll see these are all the groups that currently exist in this workbook. And it'll show you last updated, last changed, time as well. But if I just go over here to this little pencil, that's where you can actually manage the groups itself. One thing to note though, so you can't have groups across multiple parent accounts, I guess you'd say, or multiple roll-ups. So for example, if I try to add in something like this, so a 4,000 and a child basically, and then something under non-operating income, if I try to apply that selection as a group, an error will appear here. So it won't let me do that. So just keep that in mind. They have to be under the same parent or roll-up or consolidation. I'll also show you, so not only can you group on accounts, but you can actually group on attributes as well. So this report over here is on units, and it's basically just grouped units up into different colors. So to do that, what you would need to do is, if your instance has attributes, for example, I'm just using product attributes here. So I've gone down to attributes and color. I'll just click on a row, right click and apply children as a group to get the colors here. And then on top of that, I'll actually just drag in units as well. Now this pop-up will appear, and it basically just says select yes to apply to the selected elements in a group. Otherwise, select no if you want to actually break the group up. So I'm just going to say yes. And now if I run this report, you can see this is exactly as the same as the example above here. Okay, so moving along, we'll just discuss expanding and collapsing. So if I navigate back into my accounts and just show you what we've got on screen here is basically just a list of roll-up accounts. But if you look here, you can actually see there's a hierarchy underneath them, and they've got children accounts essentially. So what you can do in Office Connect is highlight a row and use the expand and collapse features up here to basically drill in and see the detail underneath this account. And so you can do that on however many levels there are in this hierarchy, for example. Something you can do as well is control the behavior of these properties. So I've just gone into Workbook Properties and then Explore. And here you can control if you want the rows to expand above or below, and the columns to also expand left or right as well as various refresh data options as well. I would suggest that this is a really useful tool if you just want to basically understand the detail or what makes up a certain number or value. So, you know, everything that makes up revenue for this account. However, I would say it's probably best for ad hoc reporting, and if you were to do official like board reports or potentially a shared report with your team, I would actually just use the Excel features itself, just use the data group ungroup feature here. And I just say that because if you look at it, and if I just press collapse for you now, you'll see there's a little refresh status. And I just think it's a little bit slow and cumbersome, and you can get the job done a lot quicker with Excel features yourself. Okay, so on to filtering now. So there are a couple of ways to access reports and filter on them. One is through this ribbon up the top here. If you go to Worksheet Filters, this will appear. The other way is through this task pane on this left-hand side here. And if you go to Filters, you can press the plus button and the same thing will appear. So now we'll just work with company, and I'll just show you different ways you can filter on a company. So if I click it and press OK, you'll see only the total company level appears. You don't actually get the hierarchy that sits underneath it. So you don't get company A, company B, and so forth. Obviously, you can manually select them all to get them appearing in this task pane. but you can also right click on total company and go either select immediate children, which will just give you the level below it. So not operations or corporate, but just company ABC, or you can select or descendants, which will give you everything below it. So I'm just going to do that and press OK. And then now if you look here, you can see I can filter on whatever I want in this worksheet. So I'll just click total company and press refresh. Nothing should change really, but I just wanted to show you as well some troubleshooting essentially. So at the moment, I've just clicked on a specific cell, and if you'll see here, this cell actually says company A rather than total company. And so it's because I've actually put an element on top of this whole column, company A, whereas if I look at the forecast column, there's no company here. And if I click into a specific cell, it says the level is total company. So I just wanted to explain the precedence. Essentially, filters work on the whole report or the whole worksheet itself. However, if you drag and drop an element on top of a specific column or row or cell, that will take precedence over any worksheet filters in a report. And the way to troubleshoot it would basically either be clicking on a cell and seeing what elements make up that specific value, or if you click on a row and you can see it says company A, oh sorry, a column or a row here and it doesn't actually have company on it, then you can sort of tell by default it'll be using what's under this section here as well. Another thing to note is currency. So this is a default currency which is defined by levels. It might not be relevant to everyone. However, some of you that do work in different currencies, basically you can update the currency behavior or default settings using workbook properties here by selecting level currency or corporate currency. And that just shows that this currency here is tied to the level total company. So US dollars is what total company is reported in, essentially. Okay, before I move on as well, there's just one more thing I wanted to say. So with workbook properties and user settings, workbook properties do take precedence over user settings too. And it's quite easy to show this. So these are user settings, and this book defaults to thousands. However, if I go into workbook properties, and this is also in the thousands, if I change this to the millions, press OK and refresh, you can see this is updated to the millions. So that just demonstrates that workbook properties take precedence over user settings. Another thing I forgot to mention as well is on top of worksheet filters, you can also have workbook filters as well. These are applied across the worksheet, so to the whole workbook. Just keep that in mind because sometimes it can get confusing if you put a filter here and then put a filter in a worksheet as well. It might confuse you. So that's also another way of doing filters too, but it is a little bit more hidden than the standard worksheet filters. That's basically all I wanted to take you through today. So just to recap, we've gone through how to group elements in a report. So how to group them will basically allow you to allow your reports to update any changes to a model and to show that in the report automatically. I've shown you how to group via product attributes as well. So these don't just have to be on products or on one specific dimension. It can be on multiple dimensions, such as account or level attributes too. I've talked to you about how to expand and collapse various features, various accounts. And I've also said it's probably best just to use what's in Excel unless it's just for an ad hoc report, and just also shown you how to update the filters in a report as well as review them so you can troubleshoot and identify what actually makes up a specific cell. That's all from me. Thank you.
Jo, just quickly, we did have one question that I think might be worth you answering on the spot. So someone has asked, how would I go about updating an existing report that was built prior to the grouping feature in Office Connect?
Unfortunately, there's no real easy way to do it. You basically have to manually update these yourself. Depending on how complicated the report is, I would almost consider just rebuilding it if that's easier as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that, Jo.